cry and shake. Tears fall out of the eyes. He or she moans and sobs, and then the following day, they go back to their normal life. They feel trembling in their heart one moment, and then the other moment, they forget it. But it should be the fear that stays with the individual and would help that person not return to needless sport and play. It is almost like a person, as the Imam Rahimahullah said, it's like a person who was stranded in the desert. And on his journey, he was attacked by wild beasts. And so he ran until he found a fortress. And he stood outside of the fortress and he said, A'udhu billah, I seek refuge in Allah with this fortress to protect me from the wild beasts. But he sat there out in front of the fortress, only saying, A'udhu billah, bihadhal husn.
Now, I greet you in the words of Assalamu alaikum, which means peace and blessings be upon you. And I mentioned both Jesus and Muhammad's names. Peace be upon them both. They were both messengers of truth and reality. Peace be upon them both. And you're looking at the Underground Railroad TV show. We come on every Saturday at 10:30. But you can see us on YouTube 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So just go there, man. And I want to say hi to the people in the United States, Canada, Central America, Europe, Asia, the Middle East. I don't know where they got the Middle East from, and Africa. Today, I'm delighted. I have on Alderman Jones on, and me and him going to be doing some shows, and inshallah, try to get him and Dr. Lee Warren on next month. Shalom. Assalamu alaikum.
Shalom alaikum.
And thank you for accepting the invitation to come on Underground Railroad TV show. Okay. And you can see him on YouTube. He's on there, man. I mean, y'all been going to the YouTube. It's a lot of people that look at you on YouTube, on the channel. Believe me, man. But you know what? Tell the people something about yourself, please.
Well,
thank you.
Aside from what you said, I'm also with the Moorish Science Temple of America.
Okay.
Post number 1. Our Grand Sheikh is Marcel Walter Neal, and he's the Consulate General, and I'm the Deputy Consulate General of the Moorish Science Temple, Post number 1.
Where's that located at?
Well, that's located in 259 North Pulaski.
Alhamdulillah. I saw somebody, I forgot the gentleman's name, and we was talking about you. I think it was a couple of days ago. He said, I know everybody that you're talking about. But that's commendable. It's commendable, But you know what, today, we're gonna sort of talk at random, but I want to concentrate on Chicago. We probably will talk about globally things with me and Alderman. We talk on the phone anyway. They might be listening in on the telephones. Now we can confirm what we thought is true.
I didn't think. I told you that years ago.
Yes, sir.
Years ago.
Yes, sir.
Now everything I told you has come forward. The only thing about that, brother, see, they talk about our president now. They talk about George Bush, but that stuff happened under the black folks president, Clinton. See, and people don't want to bring that up, but that's where that started. Clinton did so many things that were anti-us. For example, there were women who could be on public aid.
Come on, man, you ain't talking about the man that blew the saxophone.
Yeah, that's what he
cool,
did.
Man.
That's what he did. He blew the saxophone. All right, that's all he had to do was blow the saxophone. And Clinton, for example, he took women with children off of public aid, and that only represented 1% of the whole national budget.
Yes, sir.
What was that going to do to help with the budget? And I feel sad that they fool people talking about, well, he left with the budget wasn't in the red. Well, if you go get you a federal budget and look, you'll see that the Federal Reserve Bank gets $250 billion of money every year out of that federal budget for interest only.
Yes.
That being true, that means that the principle is still there. So how he left a deficit, I don't know. I've been trying to figure that out ever since they said that.
Well, that's the news that I got that he left a deficit. No, he didn't
I mean,
leave he left a surplus.
A surplus. I don't know how he left a surplus based on what I just told you. When you're only paying the interest, you go borrow some money. You go borrow $100,000 and you pay the interest only. And the next year you go borrow another $100,000. You don't have no surplus. You got a deficit till yet.
Understand what you're saying. Man, I want to ask you, brother, I want to, try to concentrate right now on Chicago politics. We from Chicago. And, we must talk about what's going on in Chicago and how it affects us. And you know what Daley put us in a situation where the parking meters are running almost 24 hours a day, but Mayor Emanuel has made it where his parking meters will be off on Sunday. But first, what did you think about what Daley did? And I know that's old history.
Well, first of all, I think that the city of Chicago, from putting them quarters in there, was making $350 million a year from parking meters.
Okay.
Why would you give that $350 million to an outsider rather than the city getting it directly themselves? All right? And then you had them aldermen down there, the foolish aldermen, as I call them.
Foolish aldermen.
Yeah, because they sat up there and said, well, I didn't get a chance to read it. Well, why would you vote for something that you never read? That is the most insane thing in the world. They all should be removed from office, all right, for voting for something that they never read when they're supposed to be representing you and I.
Well, in retrospect, when you make a statement like that, why didn't the individuals that voted them in, why didn't they hold them accountable for their actions by removing them?
Well,
why wasn't there outrage? Why wasn't there?
Well, you know what an alderman told me when I was in that field?
Yes, sir.
He said, I hear you go to all them community meetings. I hear you stay to 12 o'clock at night on your ward night seeing people. He said, you ain't got to do that stuff. I said, what you talking about? We supposed to be representing the people.
Yes, sir.
He said, no. So long as you don't do nothing to make the people mad, they still going to vote for you. Isn't that what happens?
You see, the people ain't going to remember 4 years.
They won't remember 4 years from now what you did. All they know is you the alderman.
I understand that. So basically, I understand what you said. So basically, all you had to do is just bide your time. What is your assessment of Mayor Emanuel in Chicago? Is he doing an excellent job? Do you think that he's for the establishment, or do you think that he's genuinely for the people?
Well, my personal opinion.
Yes.
It's my opinion now.
Yes.
Mayor Emanuel, since he's controlled by a very extremely multi-billionaire,
Okay.
all right, that man is doing like the rest of them. He's doing what he's told to do. When he first became the mayor, I sent him a copy of something that I submitted that Alderman Mavar of the 45th Ward had it tabled in the committee. And it was to have a transaction tax on the Board of Trade. Just like when you sell your house, you got to pay a transaction tax.
Yes.
Because in 1995, they were collecting $45 billion of money, the Board of Trade and Board of Options in this city, all right? And a 2% transaction tax, one-time tax, never raised, would have brought back then $900 million a year into the coffers of the city.
Yes.
And the Board of Trade wouldn't have paid it. It was the people who was buying the stock. I later checked and found out that Alderman Mavar was getting a contribution of $5,000 from the Board of Trade, so I know why he did it. Now, why are they talking about money when all they have to do is go and review what I submitted back then, and they would have they wouldn't even have a deficit. I'm surprised that the police department, talking about they want to have more people, right?
Yes.
They ought to propose that, because they'll say, well, here's the money. Well, you talking about you all don't have the money. Here's the money what Alderman Jones submitted some time before.
Yes.
That's what the president of the police union does. But I know who really runs all of this stuff.
Yes.
And the person that runs all this stuff is somebody who's known as the Black Pope.
The Black Pope?
Yeah.
What
He's not black in skin.
What are you talking about?
Well, that comes out of the Jesuits. All right. Matter of fact, there's some material that even goes farther back than Abraham Lincoln, where Abraham Lincoln told a excommunicated priest named Shakur, he said they would have killed me, the Jesuits would have killed me today if I hadn't deferred and delayed and went someplace else instead of coming straight here.
Yes, sir.
And then there's questions about them being involved in the death of President Kennedy. All right? And most of these people of power report to him. So I don't get mad with whether it's President Obama or any of them, because I know that they have to do what they're told to do. You might be able to do some of the things you want, but they have a 20-year plan. Like, for example, and it also affects Chicago, all right? Because Chicago is really the hub of this whole nation.
Yes.
Everything comes through Chicago, whether it's a train, a plane, a bus, a car, a truck, everything.
Well, as we talk about the mayor of Chicago, Mayor Ron Emanuel, give you an example.
You mean Mayor Auerbach?
I don't understand. Mayor Emanuel.
Mayor Auerbach.
I'm not understanding what
Well, well, his family name, all right?
Okay.
And his father's family name was Auerbach, Auerbach.
Okay.
His father's brother got killed over in Palestine, and they changed their last name to Emanuel, his father's brother's first name.
Okay.
So I called them by their family name.
I understand. Oh,
Mayor Auerbach.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that. But you know what? There was such harsh criticism of Mayor Harold Washington when he was in office. How come there was not harsh criticism of Mayor Daley when he tore up Meigs Field, parking meters, and Mayor Washington was attacked in the news media for every little thing that he did?
The only mistake that Mayor Washington made is that he didn't know what I just told you. Who's really in charge?
Yes.
And there's a DVD you ought to, well, a CD you can go on the internet and
on
read.
YouTube, yeah, okay.
Known as the Vatican Assassins.
Yes.
And they operate throughout this country. See, I don't care I say anything.
Yes.
You know, they've done everything that they could do to me. If they killed me, I just ask them, don't eat me.
Let me ask you something. And you know, I'm thinking about assassins, and then I think about fear. Is that the reason that Mayor Emanuel is not attacked in the news media, because they know that he's a very revengeful person, and he does understand what power is.
No.
Power is not given, it's taken.
No.
No.
They know that he's doing what he's told to do. So he's not going to have no problem, all right, with the real power. You know, you have a group that tells even him what to do, the Club of Rome.
Yes.
And the head of the Club of Rome is David Rockefeller.
Yes.
As long as you're doing what they plan to do for the next 20 years and don't interfere with their plans, you do some of the things you want. But if you step across that line, then they'll start to attack you.
Yes.
Or you figure the rest out.
Everybody does what they're told. Everybody follows orders. I understand what you're saying. You know what? Here's somebody, you know what? In Illinois right now, we have a problem with pension reform. Pension reform. And you know what? Speaker Madigan has a lot of power over a whole lot of people. Do you think he has too much power? Do you think that he's taking his time about getting this pension plan implemented because he's positioned as positioning Lisa Madigan to run for governor?
Well, first of all, Lisa is not his daughter.
Okay.
It's not even his birth daughter.
Okay.
All right? She changed her name to Madigan when she was 19 years old.
Okay.
All right? So we get that out of the way.
Yes.
Number two, he does what he's told to do. That's why he's lasted so long. You know, he's not one of my favorite people because I went to prison for him.
Yes.
Because the stuff they accused me of, that stuff was in his ward. And Alderman Madrick, who got elected in 1973, told me when I was in prison. So, you know, he's not one of I'm not one of his fans. As long as he's doing what he's told to do, he'll be right where he is.
Yes.
And that's why he does. Now, see, there's something known as the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. Never heard of that, have you?
No, sir.
Go look it up on your computer.
Well, I'm going to Google it up, as you always say. Go ahead.
CAFR.com.
Okay.
And you will find that your tax money, all right, that you pay, 40% of that is given to the Morgans, the Rothschilds, and they invest it overseas. And they make $140 trillion from it. And they turn around and give them back the money they gave them to invest.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I'm telling you the truth.
Yes, sir.
You know, and that's what I speak is the truth. Because I believe in love, truth, peace, and freedom. And if you do, you will get justice.
Yes.
All right? Now, you've never heard of the Comprehensive. I was talking with some associates, and they went and looked it up. He said, this is terrible. I said, no, people don't care.
Yes. But Madigan, do you think that he is posturing to possibly help Lisa Madigan get in office?
Well, if somebody's supposed to be your daughter, wouldn't you help her?
Of course.
Well, he's not asking me that.
No. Okay. Now, you know what Bill Daley is saying, that he's going to run for governor. Do you think that he would be a better choice over Pat Quinn?
Well, I'm not a fan of Pat Quinn because he lied to Jesse Jackson Jr. and Sr. He told them that once he got in office, he was going to make sure that they were going to have the Peatone airport deal. He's getting ready to run for governor again, and ain't nothing happened on that because they never planned to put nothing out in Peatone Airport because there's some millionaires out there that own land, and they said they didn't want that stuff out there. The plan all the time was to put the airport in Gary. When I was an alderman, I was the one that set up the Gary, Chicago Airport Authority.
Yes. All
right, because I had that kind of vision. And now they're out there in Gary building more runways. Where do you think the airport is going?
I'm pretty sure it's going to be.
And guess who was over there helping them? Mayor Richard M. Daley.
Sad.
And see, I'm going to let the public know, and they're going to say I was right.
Yes.
They're going to extend Lakeshore Drive so it runs into 353.
Yes.
All right? Which runs into 94.
Yes.
And then they're going to take the U.S. Steel plant, okay? And they're going to rebuild it, use the brownfield money to clean it up.
People won't even be afford to be able to stay over
Well,
there.
they're going to put North Loop stores on the north end, and they're going to build condominiums. They're starting at $1 million on the north end, $30 million on the south end. And then they're going to put a boat off of Route 30. How do I know that? Because I talk to all people.
Yes.
And I was talking with some Albions, or Caucasians, as you call them.
Yes.
And they were telling me about what was going to happen for real. All right? Now, you heard what I just said?
Yes, I understand.
For real.
Yes.
That's why they had to eliminate certain politicians.
None of this barbershop talk. Huh?
No, they had to eliminate certain politicians, like Beavers. All right? They had to eliminate Jesse Jackson Jr.,
yes,
his wife. They had to eliminate, they tried to eliminate Donnie Trolley because they know that they would be talking about what is our people's share of what they were from the construction and everything else.
You know, as you talk about Jesse Jackson Jr., do you think that it was justified to give him 4 years, or do you feel that the federal government was too lenient with him? What did you think?
Well, you know, there was a governor in the state of Illinois named Governor Stratton
Yes.
in the 50s. Mayor Daley's father didn't like him,
Yes.
and they indicted him because he bought suits with his campaign funds. He bought furniture for his house and stuff. And he was indicted federally, and he was found not guilty.
Yes.
Now, what Governor Stratton says, I'm the governor,
Yes.
and I have no clothes. So I had to buy my uniforms
Yes.
so I could look like the governor.
Yes.
And people would be coming to my house, I had to make my house look like the governor. I say, unbeknownst to most people, when you have a campaign committee, you can make investments in different things.
Yes.
And the stuff that he was getting had value to it. And if it was ever sold, he could reinvest that money back into his campaign fund. But I'm not no lawyer, you know. He had some smart lawyers,
Yes.
all right? So I guess they didn't know that kind of stuff, and they didn't know about the Governor Stratton case.
So you basically saying Jesse Jackson Jr. and his wife shouldn't be going to jail, basically. They shouldn't be.
No. And as far as taxes, in 1913,
And Beavers shouldn't be going to jail either.
no.
Okay.
There was a case in Indianapolis, Indiana, all right, in 1985. Guy was charged with income tax evasion. The judge dismissed and threw the whole case out because his lawyer was smart enough to go to the archives of the United States and proved there were only 2 states that ratified the 16th Amendment. He brought the documents in to show, and they dismissed his case.
Yes.
And they told him that any money that he had ever paid,
Yes.
they had to reimburse him for that money
Yes.
because there was no legitimate 16th Amendment. They needed 36 states. They only had 2. So you tell me,
Yes.
do you think they should have been involved with taxes, even Sandy Jackson? No. All they have to do is use them cases I told you about and go to the archives, and they could have all that stuff overturned.
I understand.
And they have money. See, I was a poor alderman
Yes.
and had no money.
Yes. Now you know what? Now Illinois is the last state in the United States of America that will have you would be able to carry a concealed weapon. And what is your feelings about that? And do you think what do you think that Lisa Madigan is trying to hold it up? I don't know why though, but what are your
Well,
feelings
with
about
me, I can't carry a concealed weapon anyway. However, I believe in following the Constitution.
Okay.
See, I hear people all the time reading about the 16th, about the Second Amendment, and they forget. You got to look at grammar when you read stuff like that. And the grammar says that you have the right to bear arms.
Okay.
Period. All right. Then it says, and to have a well-regulated militia. But they forget about the first part and try and associate it with a militia. That's not what the Constitution says.
Yes.
I call it the con in the Constitution.
Yes.
All right, where they con folks into thinking the Constitution says something it don't even say.
Yes. We got like 4 more minutes. I want to ask you. This has been in the news. I think Senator Kirk. He wanted to present a bill to $15 million bill.
No,
to
$30 million.
$30 million. I'm talking about to get the GDs against the disciples off of the streets.
Well, you
what
know,
do you think about that?
Well, I did social work with street gangs before I ever was in the police department or alderman or a school teacher. And I'm going to tell you something. The fee that they have since they've been on their so-called drug case, or where they were trying to fight drugs, they spent over $1 trillion.
Yes.
If you had have invested that $1 trillion just like Johnson did, all right, in order to create jobs, then half of the people out here that are unemployed wouldn't be unemployed today.
Yes.
And they would have since they believe in taxes, they would have their tax money.
Yes.
All right? So you're talking about one organization, and there's disciples, there are El Rukins, there are Stones, there are Latin Kings, there's Simon City Royals. I work with all those groups, all right, doing social work and a streets program with the Chicago Boys and Girls Clubs. So why not create jobs? Sure, prisons, see, I always tell people, crime pays. Everyone except
Yes.
the people who are in jail.
Yes.
But the people who supply the food, the clothes, the shoes, and etc., they all make money.
Yes. You know what, you're looking at the Underground Railroad TV show. Come on every Saturday night at 10:30, and we come on YouTube. But I want to, ask you for some closing comments because we only have like about 2 minutes left. Shalom.
Shalom, my brother. I think that what should happen is that they should talk about investing money to create jobs. There's nothing wrong with FDR did it. Johnson did it. What's wrong with using the government money to start the economy running again?
Yes.
And people had jobs back then during FDR with the Works Projects Administration, Conservation Corps, all right, OEO with Johnson. Why can't you do that again?
Understand. Now, you know what, if you mind telling people where your temple is located at? It may not be using the right term, but.
Well, it's unimportant. We'll keep talking about political stuff.
I understand.
I told them earlier.
I understand what you're saying. But you know what? Inshallah, if it be the will of Allah, I want to try to get you and Dr. Lee Warren on, because you know what I'm noticing on YouTube, it's a lot more people that want to know about New World Order, and they want to know about the Bilderbergs and the Trilateral Commission. And Hannibal, because you explained something about Hannibal, they really want that explained in detail.
Well, Hannibal was one of the greatest warriors that there was. Matter of fact, West Point uses his military tactics. And he was a man darker than me in complexion.
Alhamdulillah. But you can see this brother on YouTube. You can see him 7 days a week, 24 hours a day on YouTube. And I'm pretty sure you're on other channels too, just as well, right?
I would say so.
Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum to everybody. Thank you for watching the Underground Railroad TV show. Hey man, there's a lot of people, you know what? Some people want to have.
So the Prophet, peace be upon him, was told to tell his followers that you should escape to Allah. So you don't escape into nothingness, into depression or oppression or hayat ad-dunya, but escape to Allah. Firru ilallah. And so we found ourselves with the soul leaving the body. This is a very sacred moment. And there are many hadiths, many traditions. Many scholars have looked into this. Alhamdulillah, in these times, two great scholars of hadith and Islamic studies, Sheikh Nasiruddin al-Albani, in a book called Kitab al-Janaiz, the book of janazas, and Sheikh Umar al-Ashqa in his book Al-Yawm al-Akhir. They did a tremendous job in sifting through the traditions to find those that are authentic traditions, so that we would not be put into a state of fear with something that was not true. We would not be told a story that was a fairy tale, but we would be told a story that would come from authentic sources, coming from that strong connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that would never break. And so from their work and from the authentic hadith, Abu Hurairah radiallahu anh reports that the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, said, when the soul of the believer leaves the body, it is met by two angels.